Game 10 took place during the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. And this was on lightchess.org. We played a basically 3-hour chess tournament. So this game is a blitz game, 3 minutes for the game plus 2-second increments added for each move. I'm playing a friend of mine, Fritz. Fritz has been playing chess for a very long time. He's retired. He's a very aggressive player. He's tough at blitz and he's very good at time management. So this is one game of several. I'll probably post others as well, but I want to show you how to handle an aggressive player. This is not necessarily the best way. I have lost to Fritz many times, and I'll show you how I lose. But let's just look at the game and see what we can find. So I'm black. He starts in his typical, e4, almost always Sicilian. He plays the f4 version of the closed Sicilian. And I'm just, making moves. G6, this is all book. C3, again, he wants to get a big center. This is typical of him. I play knight f6, hitting the pawn, but, kind of making him decide if he wants to push it or not. And he pushes all right. The challenge with pushing is, there's nothing wrong with it, obviously, but I don't know. To me, it's just a little extending yourself a little bit, even though you have a really good center. I don't know. That's just my opinion, but um, he pushes. So I only have really one move. That's knight d5. He plays d3. It's very passive. In fact, he should have played either d4, uh, you know, grabbing the center. That's what he played c3 for, right? Another move he could have played maybe is like queen b3, hitting the knight. That's a possibility. I'm not saying it's best, but that's one idea. Okay, so d3, that gets me a little bit of time. So I think about this and I just say, you know what? Keep developing. Nothing fancy. So bishop g7. He plays c4. Again, another move. This is a bad move, I think. I give it a question mark. He should have played again, just d4. Or if he wants to develop, fine. g3 or something, right? Bring out your bishop or something. Um, this is challenging. And now he's got a weakness here. Look at this pawn. It's now backward. It's ugly. He's giving me a nice juicy square for my knight at some point. So, okay. I play knight c7. Looks a little awkward. Yes, my queen is kind of trapped here. It doesn't have the scope to get out like I would normally want, but this is fine. My knights have a lot of uh, scope here, right? I have these squares. I got this square. Um, things aren't too bad. I can play d6 at the right time and break up the center. So I feel pretty comfortable here. All right, so it's time for development. It's not time to be, breaking the center. So he plays knight c3. Good move. Continuing to develop. But I have a very strong advantage here because of his passive play here with d3 and c4. All right, so a castle. That's a good move. Could have played d6, but I think castle just makes sense here to finish development. First things first, and then we'll go to plan B and start attacking the center. Okay, he plays bishop e2. Not sure why. I think a move like bishop e3 makes sense, just hitting the weak pawn, right? I mean, it's a move. I gotta defend it. I'd play like either d6 to defend or b6, one of the two, or knight e6 to defend probably. But yeah, bishop e2 is played. And now there's a couple of good moves I have here. I played d6, which I think is a good move, threatening to break up the center. And again, he is still not castled yet. His king and rook are not exactly coordinated at all. So that's a problem he's got to manage. Another good move here, and this is really good for the square control aspect of chess, which I'm always preaching and I don't do a good enough job in. What's a good square control move? If you want to pause the video, what's a good move? Well, the move is actually knight e6, really clamping down on this square with two pieces. Really, really nice. And if you're worried about like f5 or something, that's just silliness. I can just take it and I'm fine, right? Don't worry about that. But knight e6 is certainly a very square control focused move, which I didn't play. I just played d6. And again, d6 is fine too. I just want to break up the center. What's he going to do here? So he takes. Again, taking is probably not advised because he's opening up the e file here. I take and just take back. And now, I'm going to play rook e8. Sorry, rook e8 and grab the file, which is not exactly what he wants. So the other thing I'm going to do very shortly is I'm going to play d5. It's a weakness I have here on d6 for sure. I'm just going to push it to try and get rid of it as soon as I can. So he castles, and now I play the right move, d5, exclam, but basically, obvious, right? I got to liquidate things. Now that pawn as a weakness is an advantage. I can push it if he's not careful, and so he takes, and this is not really part of the plan. So c d5, knight takes d5, he takes back again, queen d5. Now look at this. Now I have this great centralized post for my queen. It's hitting all this scope all of a sudden. I have ideas about playing bishop here, bringing my rooks over. I've got a pretty good future going for myself. So he sees this, right? He sees that, okay, he's thinking to himself, oh, I got a weak pawn here. My bishop is sort of, hemmed in here. Where am I going to go? So he figures that he just wants to go to an ending. It's a blitz game. Maybe he can just blitz it out and win this in an ending. So he plays queen b3, offering a trade, and I said, hey, I'll take it. Takes. So positionally, this is probably almost a one game for me. And these guys are weak here. This is weak. The bishop diagonal is really in trouble. This long diagonal bites on this square. I mean, it's so many issues to deal with. So next, I have a decision to make. Am I going to play either bishop e6, bishop f5? I see the weaknesses here. What should I do first? What's the better approach? I play probably the second or third rate move here, which is bishop e6. It's not wrong, but there's probably better moves. Now, what he should do here is let the pawn go. That pawn is not salvageable. He should play bishop e3, hit the pawn. If I take it, yeah, he's a little worse still, but knight g5 and just start making some pressure and start playing. He's definitely worse, but I like this better than what was played in the actual game. What he played here is rook a3. Now this is very committal, putting such a major piece like a rook defending a pawn. In addition, there's always this threat here of this pawn being captured, hitting the rook. So it's very committal, and now he's probably lost here, or much worse, if nothing else. So I play b6. Again, I want to shore up things. So the idea of playing b6 is twofold. One, I'm anticipating he's going to play something like bishop e3, hitting the pawn. That's the first thing. But also, I want to play something like b6 and then a5 to really make sure this rook has no pressure on the file here to attack that a pawn. So again, it's probably not the best move. I think a better move would be like rook here, hitting that weakling bishop that's going to be a free tempo, but hey, it is what it is. It's not terrible. b6. So now he's trying to get cute here, hitting my bishop, but this is, again, sort of superficial because I just move it. Bishop d5. And now I have a much better square for everything. His knight is sort of off balance, although he probably wants to trade off that bishop, but, So he plays, bishop f3. But once again, I'm not worried about losing my bishop because the weakness here is this guy. And how can he defend it? The only way he can defend it is with this bishop, probably going back here or something. This rook is so far out of play, it's ridiculous. He can't do anything. So offering trades is probably not the best approach here. So I just say, okay, you want to trade? Okay. Rook fd8. And I puts his knight there. Well, I say, okay, I'm going to continue my development then. I'm going to play knight d4. Now, knight d4 is a good move. It hits the bishop. It hits the pawn. It threatens even at some point a fork if he's not careful. But a better move here, what's a better move? A great square control move. And that's f5. f5 is lights out. in so many ways. First, it permanently hems in this pawn, locking out this piece from the game, which is really, really positive. Um, and anyway, just makes life a lot easier for me. But knight d4 is second best. He should play like bishop d1, just get out of here, try and defend what he can, and deal with the outcome. So instead, he plays knight d2. So I mean, okay, it is what it is. And I say, well, you know what? I'm just going to take it. Bishop takes f3. Knight takes f3, and I'm going to now play the knight fork, which I had mentioned is a threat. Now the light square bishop gone, and my knight invades. Knight e2. Right? King up. Yeah, makes sense. Take the bishop. Rook takes. Now rook takes d3. But I missed something. What else did I miss here? I'm in square control mode. Right? I've been reviewing games by Alyekin and Capablanca, and I'm in this pawn grabbing mode. I want to just grab space and grab control. I'm not focused on tactics. What's that simple tactic here that I missed? Well, what about just bishop b2? That's game over. Right? Winning the exchange, and then I still take on d3. Right? So I missed it. So I take on d3, figuring, hey, that's the big piece I want. He plays king over. I just play a cute move here would be actually, whoops, I don't know what I did there. Sorry, a cute move here would actually be rook takes, king takes, and then I take again, and I'm winning the exchange once again. That would be kind of funny to do, but I didn't do that. I just played rook d7. Again, keeping focus to defend this guy. Great scope on the file, and I'm preparing to bring over this guy later. Just trying to play solid chess here. Okay, he plays h4. Again, I don't understand what that's about. Once again, b2 is still hanging. I don't play that because I'm too focused on maintaining the center and grabbing control of the squares. So I just play a5, making sure that once I move my rook, these pawns are very, very safe. Clamping down on this guy, he's not going anywhere. And now I have a very kind of carefree game. All right, so he plays now. This is typical Fritz style. He's very aggressive. He wants to play g4, see what he can generate. But again, it's 3 versus 3. Right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There's nothing. There's no real threat here. Right? So rook e8 check. I want to get on the. I want to start putting my rooks on the back rank if I can. And there I go. Rook d3. Rook c2, I guess he wants to get it out there. And again, I'm just going to keep putting pressure on this knight now. I'm hitting two things here, right? I'm hitting the knight. I'm hitting the pawn. He plays knight e1, trying to kick the rook, and I'm more than happy to move it. Take it. Takes. And this b2 pawn, which has been in pressure the entire game, is now being hit by rook and bishop. Big problems here. So he plays, where's he going to play? He plays f5. Take it. Takes. Now, 6 pawns versus 3 pawns, 3 connected passers. But, Fritz, tell you what, he's a very valiant fighter. There have been many times when I've been up material and he fights back to win the game. So even though this is decided in a tournament game, this is a decisive advantage. In blitz, we just don't know. So let's see what happens here. So he moves his king active. He's got to do something with his king. I just take because I don't care. Takes, king up, getting my king active. He starts pressuring the knight on my bishop. I just play here, keep it safe. He plays knight f4, and I stupidly play king here. And then he has a little cheapo here. He has knight e6, right? And, this is why he's dangerous, right? Because he's hitting here. But at this point, I have just too much material. It doesn't matter. But nevertheless, I should be careful. A better move here is just a4. If he plays knight here, I just go a3 or push I mean, anything would win, right? But I play king f6, and he takes. I take the f pawn. He takes the b pawn. It's fine. I'm just going after the h pawn here to win. He plays knight c4, hitting the a pawn here. I just push it. He plays knight a3 as a blockader, which is fine, but there's just too many pawns to defend here. And then I take on h4, and he actually resigns. So just an example of how to deal with adversity here and keep square control in the game, not losing sight of tactics, which occasionally happen. But I think that the key here and the reason I won this game is I just was very relentless on my square control, keeping files locked down, keeping pawns safe, making the proper luft for pieces so I can get them active in the game. And that's what the difference was. So I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.